Okay, so this is the layout once the kameez is stitched. This I'm actually just put it on the table just to show you that how shapely it looks in comparison. I can't do nothing about it. Just go out of the room for a bit. In comparison to what this dress looked like when it was stitched previously. So the waistline is brought down a little bit, and then the fitting is more in proportion. Now the main thing that I had to do with this, because we had a problem on the fitting, was that the back and the front were equal, and what I've done is I've narrowed it down on the front back quite a bit, but actually left it wide at the front so that it gives a better fitting. So the seams of the back are actually falling here, so the front seam is turning towards the back of the dress. I've put darts in just to give it more shape at the back, because the problem we had with this kameez was that it was tight on the bust area, and the waist was way too up, and then the hip line was way too wide. So just by doing those modifications, it's given a new lease of life to the kameez. Now the other one, there was a slight bit of different problems with the black kameez. One of the main problems on this kameez was the neckline. It was a V neckline and it was too far open, and with it opening too much, the back neckline was too wide, and the kameez dress draped off the shoulders. So what I've done is I've actually taken a seam about an inch, I've taken it in, and I've sort of blended it in as I've gone down towards the bottom, and then also again I've shaped it with placing darts at the back, because I have got fairly sort of bigger hips and a big back. As much as I would like not to admit that, but that's sadly the facts. So I've shaped this slightly as well, with it giving the focus more on obviously the bit of good part that we have in our bodies. We want to show that as much as possible. So by doing these slight bits of alterations, it's like a new lease of life to this dress. The good points were that part of the jobs were already done. The neckline was already done, the bottom hems and everything was done, the sleeves were already made. Yes, there was the extra problems with opening it up, and I had to spend a bit of time, but without spending that effort and time, we're really not going to get anywhere. And one of the easiest ways to actually overcome problems like this is open up a previous made dress, but before you open it up, wear it, pinpoint your problem areas with that dress, and then keeping those in mind, once you've opened it, you've got to try and eliminate those problems when you restitch the dress. So once we notice that if it's too tight on the hips, too wide on the hips, you know, too tight on the bust area or drooping on the shoulders, then we've got to pinpoint those faults and try and eliminate those. So what I've done now is eliminated those. I've shown what this dress looks like once it's worn. I hope you all take advantage of following the videos. I do get numerous requests from members viewers asking. No, you cannot sew with an ayah. I have people asking, you know, for certain videos. Now let me tell you that I have got thousands of videos on YouTube, and I started teaching way before many of the others, you know, other people who started teaching sewing. Now when I originally made videos, I made them in short segments, and I addressed many issues in those short segments. Shall I tell you what my channel is called? You hold on for a few minutes. Let me finish talking and then you can talk. Now what happened with my segment videos were that they were placed on my website, and the website was categorized, and each video led to the next video, and they were very easy to find and to locate. And so whenever a new video was released, there were maybe 10-12 segments in that video, because I only wanted people to watch where they had the problems. Now I've released the whole of my videos onto YouTube because I've had problems with the website, and until that website problem is resolved, all my videos are free. But unfortunately, sometimes they are difficult to locate, and unfortunately I can't help anyone with regards to that. Those videos have existed on YouTube since 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and going on to 17. So they've been there many years. They are in broken segments, and some are short clips. There may be 10, 12, 14, 24 videos to complete a full garment. So how you locate them, I'm afraid that's something that you're going to have to explore and experiment with. Sometimes, you know, I do get lots of criticisms because people cannot be bothered to look for all the videos. Anyway, the choice is yours. If you want to explore, you are welcome to explore the free thousands of videos and locate the ones that you like, and then maybe put them in a favorites list or something and watch them repeatedly. If I do get the website back and running, then we are going to perhaps try and restructure that. Unfortunately, the world is a very cunning and devious place, and the person who built my website has, you know, done a nasty deal by me, because he's gone and disappeared off the face of the earth as far as I know, and he didn't give me the back office knowledge to how to, you know, get the website back to get it hosted and so on. So I am completely stuck. I am lost without the website. But I am trying to do my utmost to try and get it back on, but until I trace this guy and you know, get hold of him, unfortunately my hands are tied. So do pray and hope that I somehow manage to locate him and get the website back to its former glory. So no, you cannot talk. You've done too much talking today. Okay, turn it off. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Jan Sewing Solutions. Now I'm going to be briefing you on some aspects of sewing, and this is in conjunction with a small course that I'm doing for Great Places Housing Association at the Chai Centre in Burnley. It's a 12-week short course on teaching sewing, and unfortunately in 12 weeks there's very little that you can cover, especially we're there from 1 till 3, and then I'm normally in classes till 1:30, so I come in late and I really have about an hour with the students. So in an hour for 12 hours there's basically very little that you can cover. So there's some tips that I've given the ladies on how to work on getting their best measurements and getting a standard fitting dress to be the right size for them. And this is the information that I want to share with you. And then in the 12 weeks that I'm doing this course, whatever I'm teaching the class, I'm going to be sharing it with the online students as well, so that it gives you a sort of like a fast track method onto doing basic sewing for yourself. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you a couple of dresses that have been sewn by tailors abroad and that are quite ill-fitting. And these are the dresses that we want to pinpoint our faults on, and then to go on to correct, to make a template out of the already, you know, trial and tested dress on us, where we've gone and pinpointed. There's a number of problems that we have when we go to tailors and when we explain from scratch how to get it right. So we want to try and get away from doing it from the scratch. We want to sort of work on an already partly done thing, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to go on to explain what I explained to the class and how we want to do this. So the first dress that I want to show you, please don't comment on my figure here. I'm an average person who's trying to help people who are an average size. We're not talking about a skinny, you know, model figure here, and I'm not trying to disregard my figure here. Is for purely teaching purposes only. I'm not unsure or anything. So disregard, just think of it that this is your mum or this is your auntie, if it's some person who just likes to comment randomly watching this video. So I'm not here to show myself, I'm here to pinpoint faults that occur with people, average people of average sizes. So first of all, I want to just point that out clearly, that I'm not trying to, but we all have our flaws with our shapes, and I'm not a figure size 8 or anything, so that's just a side note. Anyway, okay, so go back to this dress. It's a dress that's very comfortable. It's a wonderful fabric, and to be honest, you may have seen me wearing this in videos, and I actually, because it's loose fitting and it's, comfortable fabric and comfortable wear, I actually often wear it. But having said that, there's quite a few flaws in it. Okay, so I'm going to show you the flaws. Here on the shoulders, it's actually quite a bit of the shoulder. The fitting is actually fairly reasonable for the kind of dress that I like. I mean, obviously you get to a certain stage where you don't want to wear overly fitted clothes, so it's actually perfect for that. But the main problem with this dress, the sleeves are a little bit long, but the main problem with the length of the sleeves is actually in the shoulder. And if the shoulder went up to its right place, then the sleeves, as you can see, they come out right. So the main problem with this particular dress is not the fitting and not majority of other stuff that's going to be in this dress, which I'm going to show you, but this one is because of the shoulder seam is actually coming around here. It's quite a bit drooped on the shoulder, and because of that it's actually the misproportion in the arm. Also, if you notice, there's a V neckline on here, and V necklines are not the easiest to actually get absolutely right. So generally the problem when you have a fitting problem, especially on the shoulder area, can be because of the fact of the neckline, or can be just because of the poor cutting on the shoulder. So the next step is going to be that I'm gonna wear this, and I'm going to show you where the problems lie with this one. Then I'm going to go on to unpick these, lay these on the table, and give you an exact flow of where the problems are. But what I'm trying to demonstrate here is that you've got an old dress, which I'm sure majority of us, we get clothes sewn from so many different tailors, and the majority of the time we don't like them, and then what we do is we actually put them in charity bags, or we throw them away because we're not happy. So what I'm requesting you to do is actually go through your bags and pick out 2 dresses that are, that you're not happy with the fit on them, but try them out and make a note of where the problems are. So mine on this one is a problem with the shoulder. I'm going to show you what the problems are with this, and then I'm going to lay these on the table, and prior to actually unpicking these, I'm going to show where the problems are, note the problems, and then we're going to unpick these and make templates out of them. And along the way, the bits that we like we're going to keep, and the bits that we don't like we're going to amend those, so that they become the perfect templates, so we can actually base in the future when we make clothes, again and again, we can actually base them on something that we're happy with. So I'm going to join this video onto this so that you can continue watching, see where the faults are with this particular dress. Okay, so I've got my second dress on now. Okay, so what are the flaws and what are the problem areas with this dress? Well, generally when Pakistan tailors tend to make stuff, what they do is they actually emphasize the hip area, and they normally fit out the dress on the bust. Yes, it does actually make the dress look a little bit fitted on the bust area, but what's happened is, 1, the chacks are too high. 2, it's actually fitted on the wrong area. I would prefer it to be slightly wider on the hip area, on the bust area, but more, the shape in it coming on the waistline. And that's basically the flow. But the shoulder area on this particular dress is right, but the fitting on this is not so good. is misproportioned. When I lay this on the table, actually wearing it, you can't tell as much, apart from the fact that I'm quite conscious of how high the splits are, and I'm not happy with them, having them so high. Also, you can see that, where the fitting is. The fitting is there, and then it's actually, you can see the width on it, and that to me is, to be honest, for every time I wear this, I'm conscious of it. And I normally wear these for it's linen material. I love these clothes because of the fact that they're so comfortable, but they have got flaws, so I want to fix those flaws. But I want these to serve as a template guide, because starting from scratch is very, very hard, and to get to in 12 hours to teach yourself all the fundamentals of sewing is very hard. So we're going to skip some corners, and we're going to start with something that's already done, and we can also actually see the faults in that. So when you see the faults in something, you can perfect that a lot more quicker. So the next step is I'm going to show you this laid out on the table, and then we're going to go on to unpick the whole of these two dresses, lay them out on top of each other, and actually take away the flaws. And then we're gonna make a new cutting out of the same out of this, using these templates, but minus the flaws, and hopefully keep these to a side, use the methods that I describe to sew a perfected garment. So they're going to be easy solutions. A lot of the time people want to start from scratch and they want to get everything right. Do you know what? You can do that, but that's a long and tedious method, and which a lot of us are not willing to put time and effort into. So rather than starting from scratch, start off with something that you've already got and perfect that. And that way, in the long run, it will save you time and effort, and you will get the same result consecutively each time if you're using a template that's been perfected. Right, so the next step of, I've just laid out both the dresses, one on top of the other. And to be honest, when you lay out dresses on one on top of the other, the difference is so minute, but on wearing them, you can actually see it in so much more. But obviously the faults are apparent. The length of the jah on this one are a lot shorter. And the fitting, they almost like stoop to a width on the hip, which is so drastic, and there's no shape on the bust area to the waist area. It's almost identical. Also, the length of the fitting area of the waist is way too high on the top dress, but having said that, the problems with the bottom one lay quite a bit on the shoulder and also the shape of the neckline. So there's quite a number of reasons why generally when we have an ill-fitting dress where the problems can lie. But if you can find a dress that fits you right on the upper shoulder area and around the armhole, then fixing problems like this are quite minute. They're quite easily fixable. Also, even if you find that the dress is like the bottom one and the shoulder fitting is not right, then what you can do is, by unpicking it, by pinpointing the faults on yourself, you can go about perfecting this so that it's actually a lot more in line with your particular shape. Because when the tailors have done this, they sew for so many different people. These are not standard cut. They're trying to make individual clothes for individual people, but unfortunately often they don't take individual measurements, and also they don't have the individual's figure in mind. So even though they're trying to individualize these garments for a particular person, that's not always the case, and this is where often the problems occur. So what we're going to do is we're going to take both of these dresses apart, and then based on the faults what we've noticed, we're going to use these as our templates to actually sew some more. Now what you can do is, if just to make the unpicking procedure easy, if your garment has been overlocked and so on, you can actually just cut away the overlocking seam. So close to the edge, just cut away close to the edge. Try not to cut the shape of the actual dress itself, because that is what we're going to perfect. Then once you've done that, unpick the whole of these seams. They're generally just a single seam, but so we're going to unpick all these, and then we're going to press this out, and we're going to make it into a template to make our new dress. So the faults that we have in these is the faults that we want to avoid, and basically that's what I'm going to be trying to explain. एक दफ़ा जब आपने कोई ओल्ड कमीज़ या जो भी आपका कपड़ा है जिस पर आपने तब्दीलियां करनी हैं और जो आप अपने टेम्पलेट के लिए इस्तेमाल करना चाहते हैं, उसको बिछाकर उसको नज़रअंदाज करें कि उसमें क्या क्या फॉल्ट्स थी, और उन फॉल्ट्स को नोट करें, ताकि जब हम दोबारा इसको टेम्पलेट बनाएंगे और वही जो हमारियाँ क्या थी गलतियाँ थी पहले सूट में, तो वो हमने दूर करनी है, लेकिन उसी के ही नाप पर. सो कोई चीज़ें इसमें ऐसी हैं जो हमें पसंद हैं, कोई चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो हमें नहीं पसंद, तो दूर हमने वो करनी है जो हमें नहीं पसंद, और जो हमें पसंद है उनको हमने रखना है. सो इनको हमने अनपिक करना है. तो अनपिक करने के लिए अगर आपका पुराना कपड़ा जो है, बिकॉज हम इसको टेम्पलेट के तौर पर इस्तेमाल करेंगे, तो इसको हमने अनपिक करना है. सो ये जो ओल्ड सिलाइयाँ हैं, इनको सीम के नज़दीक से आप काट दें, यानी जो ओवरलॉकिंग सीम है उसको काट दें, ताकि एक्स्ट्रा जो है आपको एफर्ट ना डालना पड़े, क्योंकि अनपिक करने के लिए भी काफ़ी वक्त चाहिए. सो हम अपना वक्त सेव करने के लिए यहाँ उसको, और फिर बाजू वगैरह हम उतार कर इस सब को हम प्रेस करेंगे, ताकि दोबारा इसी से ही हम गलतियां दूर करके दोबारा कमीज़ काट सकें. नाउ इसका फ़ायदा ये है कि एक तो इसमें कोई चीज़ें ऐसी हैं जो हमें पसंद है, जो हमें पसंद है वो हमने रखना है, जो हमें नहीं पसंद उसको उसकी गलती हमने दूर करनी है. तो गलतियां भी हमें मालूम हैं, क्योंकि ये पहन कर हमने अंदाज़ा लगाया है कि इसमें गलतियां कौन सी थी, और फिर दूसरा है कि जो पसंद वाली चीज़ें हैं वो भी मौजूद हैं. सो अगर आप इन चीज़ों का नोटिस लें तो फिर इसकी जो चेंजेस हैं वो करने आसान हैं. तो इसलिए ये शॉर्टकट है. ये एक मैं आपको ऐसा तरीका बता रही हूँ जो आम आदमी भी अपने लिए, ये छोटियाँ जो है मिस्टेक्स, इनको दूर करके आप अपनी मर्ज़ी मुताबिक ड्रेस वगैरह बना सकते हैं. और ये सिर्फ ड्रेस नहीं, ये गलतियां जो है आप अगर आपने ट्राउज़र कभी बनाई है, सलवार में ये प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं होकर होंगी, क्योंकि सलवार जो है वो बागी होती है, वो लूज़ फिटिंग होती है, तो उसमें ये प्रॉब्लम्स नहीं आती, लेकिन ट्राउज़र में आ सकती हैं. तो यही सेम तरीका जो है आप ट्राउज़र के साथ भी कर सकते हैं. आप अपना पुराना ट्राउज़र जो भी आपको नहीं पसंद, उसमें उसको पहन कर उसकी जो मिस्टेक्स हैं उनको नोट करें, फिर उसको अनपिक करके वो मिस्टेक्स जो है वो नज़र रखते हुए उनको दूर करना है. तो इंशाल्लाह ट्राउज़र का भी यही तरीका मैं दिखाऊंगी जो कि हम कमीज़ के लिए इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. सो अभी थोड़ा सा टीडियस वर्क होगा, और इसीलिए मैं साथ साथ बात कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि थोड़ा वक्त जो है वो अच्छे तरीके से इस्तेमाल हो जाए, ताकि समझ भी आ जाए. सो वंस ये सब उन पे ये जो एक्स्ट्रा सीम्स हैं इनको काट लिया, तो फिर इसको, ये कपड़ा लिनन का है, सो हम इसको तेज़ी से फाड़ नहीं सकते, इसलिए इंडिविजुअली इनकी कटिंग करनी पड़ेगी, अनपिकिंग करनी पड़ेगी, सॉरी. सो नेक्स्ट स्टेप, जो सीम है उसको सो सीम्स को अनपिक करके फिर सब कमीज़ के पीसेस जो हैं वो अलग कर लें और उसके बाद प्रेस करके हम बिछाएंगे दोनों को और मज़ीद देखेंगे कि इनमें कौन सी मिस्टेक्स हैं जिनको किस तरह हमने इनको दूर करना है. Assalamualaikum. Now sometimes members write in with problems to do with sewing, and it's very difficult to address somebody's problem without actually fully understanding or even often seeing. You know, the only way you're really going to understand somebody's problem is to actually visually see maybe perhaps the garment on the person, and then once it's opened up, and then you pinpoint the problems and iron them out. So with this particular kameez, what I've done is I have worn this, I have pointed out the problems, sort of pinpointed the problems, and then I've gone to unpick where I saw the faults. I need to sort of slowly iron those faults out. So once those faults were located, then it was to back to the square board and unpick the whole of the garment, drawing board, and pick out the garment and then find the faults in the cutting. Now this dress has been absolutely terribly cut. It was one that was sewn in Pakistan and it was sent for me. Now you've got the armhole cutting, and then this is the waistline cutting, and if you look at the massive cut without any shape going on to the hips, it's just absolutely disgusting. There's no way that I can even comprehend the dress being like this and then, you know, perhaps wearing it or having any kind of fitting on any person, never mind me. Even if I don't know what the person who was cutting this was thinking, but anyway, absolutely nasty cutting, a waste of the fabric and a waste of money on paying for the sewing. So once, obviously I knew that it was really bad on the hips, I knew it was really badly cut on the bust, I knew that the fitting was way too high where it should have been and where the, you know, jaw should have ended and the gradual curve and stuff, there was nothing there. And so how do you get that out? There was a couple of things right with it. Around the armhole, it was a decent fit, and perhaps I've mentioned this in the videos to go with the suit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the videos together, and you can see me wearing this outfit. I'm going to sort of mix them up. It's a little bit offensive. I felt very conscious when I was filming myself wearing the dress as well, because standing in front of a camera and I haven't got the greatest of figures, let me assure you, but even then, you know, if you've got a beautiful figure, you're actually happy to show it off. If you've got flaws in your figure, you're very restrained in you know, publicizing that figure. So often, but obviously I'm doing it for purely teaching purposes. Please do not judge me on my looks, because I'm not trying to you know, show you what I look like, or I'm not proud of my figure either. Irrespective, that's nothing to do with anyone, and I'm not proud of it, but giving you a realistic figure, you can only go about showing what the dress looks like when it was on. So it was actually this dress and another dress, which I'm going to both show you both, and I'm going to show you where the faults are and then how we're going to eliminate those faults as well. So the first fault with this garment was the lousy fitting on the waist area and the hips area and the bust area. It was way too fitted on the bust area, and the armhole was decent. So I'm not going to totally, you know, dish the garment. Now the secondary problem is with the arm. The sleeve cutting is fine, but there's no shape in the sleeve. So we're going to create some shape in the sleeve. That's the sleeve, and there's absolutely no shape. Now I'm going to show you with this. There is another garment that I wore and I cut. Both of these have been stitched by tailors in Pakistan. Now this one, the fitting, there's no real cutting in this. but it was shaped quite neatly, and wearing wise it was nice on, I preferred it was loose fitting, but I preferred it around the waistline and the hip area. But where this went and had a problem was with the armhole fitting, because basically what's happened with this dress is it's a V-shaped neckline. I'm going to open it up and then perhaps you can... Now a V neckline is often difficult to do. Now the maker, whoever has stitched this, what I might do is I might lay some black fabric underneath it so you can actually... I'm going to lay some dark fabric underneath it so you can see the cutting a little bit better, because the board is not showing. Now visually, obviously the camera doesn't always show the little nitty-gritty, so we're going to put this darker fabric underneath so you can see a little bit better, and I can explain where the flaws are and maybe you can pinpoint problems with your own. Okay, so basically what we've had with this particular garment is when they've stitched this, the neckline, they've cut it, back of the neckline, they've cut it too deep. It actually finishes here, and this much excess fabric has been sort of combined with stretching of the V. Now the V has opened up too much. The actual V of this neckline sort of sits somewhere around here, but in order to sit there, if you see this much excess in, you know, and this is where it actually takes shape, so that much excess has been blended in. So the consequences of that is that the V has been stretched, so then the armhole fitting around here has been brought too far out, and basically what I had was, I had around here, I had the armhole falling off my shoulder, and because of that then the sleeves were far too long as well. So now there's two ways we can fix this. First of all, if your kameez is way too long, first of all, I mean, this is a useless garment. I'm not too bothered about fixing this back up. But if this was a new garment, if the kameez was long enough, then I would cut it from the shoulder area, and this neckline I would lessen this, and the V I would bring it back slightly up to make it less you know, split open, and then I would recut the armhole, because obviously losing maybe a couple of inches off the shoulder would mean the kameez would be lifted up and so on, and then the below structure would slightly change too. Now as it is, if I leave it the way it is, I can cut the armhole from the front deeper, and that would give me, you know, so for the moment what we're going to do is, I'm not going to put too much effort into this. So what we're going to do is, it's an old garment, but for the sake of the teaching, I'm going to just fix this and just show you exactly how much of a difference this is going to make. So this, we're going to cut the armhole sort of that much deeper, so that it's not hanging off the shoulder, and it giving me a better fit around the armhole. Now I'm not too bothered about the back. What we'll do is we'll very marginally take off from the back. It is the front that's been sort of made ajar, and when they've done that, what they've done is, so it's like an inch has been taken off. So now this area has become a lot less, and often when I teach, I often tell people that prepare your neckline and try it on yourself, and when you try it on yourself, notice on your shoulders just what kind of a fitting you've got, and then fix the armhole area, because you can always cut and make this you know, more shaped even after you've cut the original. But if you cut it too deep, then there's no way of fixing that. So that slight bit of cutting on the armhole will fix that. Now the the sleeves themselves, there was a little bit of a flaw with the sleeves as well. Now this one I've actually shaped. Now in comparison to that, I will show you the other sleeve. I can locate that. That's okay. So this is the other sleeve. I've not cut this one, and you will just get a look of that sleeve in comparison to that. So if I lay these side by side, and if you look at the shape of the one compared to the other, there's no shape in that. So what we'll do is just give that, I'm going to tighten these, but just by shaping them from here, well, it looks like the one sleeve was slightly longer than the other as well. Yeah, they were misshaped, very much misshaped. What we're going to do is we're going to cut them both. So by taking that much away from the sleeve, that's going to fix that problem. I'm going to very marginally tighten this sleeve as well, and then fix these sleeves back onto the dress after doing the closing seam. So what we'll do with this now is I'll mark it out for fitting. And it was a fairly wide kameez, so I'm going to bring it to here, and then I'm just going to return the jacks once over again because I haven't got time to open it. It may mean, is it going to tighten it? No, I'll just open it up slightly so that I can re-seam and blend it into the old jacks, because I have put on weight and I don't think it's gonna. So I'm going to have to open the jacks up slightly, perhaps about 4 inches going down, and then close this according to my own fitting, add the sleeves back on, and that should remedy the problem with the shoulder I had on this dress. Now with this one, since we're on the sleeves, we'll fix the sleeves first and then hopefully. Now exactly same problems with the sleeves on this one. There is no cutting on the sleeves. So what we're going to do is slightly shape, and that's only like 1/4 of an inch, nothing major. Just shape it a little bit from the top and a little bit off the sleeve, and that's basically it. Just that marginal taking off should actually fix that these problems. So it's nothing major, it's very little, but you know what, that little can actually work wonders. Cut right. Okay, so we're going to cut that much of a shape into the armhole, and then the kameez, let's shape that too. Now I really have no need to actually fix these, but just to prove a point. Now the other, I'm doing some classes for new trainees, and because of time restrictions, we've got basically 12 lessons, and the lessons are really 1.5 hours, and by the time you've made it into class and really got into sewing, it's normally too late. You know, your time is almost up. So because of restrictions of time, what I've suggested to everyone is pick out an old kameez and, you know, make a template out of that, so you don't have to start from scratch. So we're going to take off this horrible shape that they'd put no shape into this kameez. Now the other problem, slight bit of a problem I've got, is this kameez was a little bit tight on the bust area, and the waist shape was non-existent. So I'm going to go to the waist, but then I'm going to go right to the edge when it comes to sewing on the bust area. Sort of really to the, you know, but on the waist area I'm going to take it slightly more in and bring the waist down a little. Now in regards to the armhole, that's perfectly fine. There isn't really a problem, perhaps a very marginal problem. I'm just going to slightly deepen it just at the front, just to give it, and then The other very slight marginal problem I'm going to have with this is the slope on the shoulders. I'm going to slightly shape it on the shoulder too, so that it lifts the kameez up and you know, just portion it out, and then I'm just going to blend it in and do the jacks. So that's basically the little bit of a transformation on these old suits. Now what I suggest you do at this stage is, knowing the problems with this, if you wanted to, you can. If you don't want to mess around and, you know, I would say use this as a sample and cut another template, but where you know that there are flaws, like for instance, we know that this kameez is just a little bit tight on the bust area. Going up to the waist, back to the bust, we can add perhaps an inch on either sides, and that should give it a nicer shape. So keep the original shape, but as you're going from the waist back upwards, give this a little bit of, you know, say if you'll be able to see it better. So say you are cutting on, using this as a template and cutting a new dress out, okay, and we know where the faults are, so you can use this up to the waistline, but then here perhaps use it as, okay, you know, this is the, okay, so there we are. Now you can see we've used the original, but we brought it out slightly. And if you were to cut using an existing sample of a dress, and where you know that there are flaws, you can use the outer lines of that, and where you know there's more or less, where you want to make it less or more, you can use that outline and just add a slight bit. So for any new beginner, there's always ways out, and this is probably one of the best ways to start off. So in regards to these dresses now, it's just very simple sewing. I'm going to stitch the sleeve back up, close off the kameez, and then add these sleeves on, and that's basically it. And you know, you've got a far better fitting kameez than originally what you had. Okay, so assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So I'm going to show you the result of this remaking of this ill-fitting kameez, and basically what I've done to get a better fit. Okay, so it's the same dress, and I can say that I feel a lot happier with wearing this. It's not overly fitted, but at the same time it's comfortable and it's not drooping off. Before I had a problem where it was drooping off the shoulders. There was no, you know, shape in it. The figure was just, I mean, if we're bad figured anyway, and then we're wearing lousy clothes, that just makes the matter even worse. So by just unpicking, pinpointing the faults, we've managed to eliminate the problems that we faced with this dress. Obviously, it's a V neckline where the V was extending too far out. So I'll put this on the table and I'll go back to where I've made the changes, just to try and, you know, make you aware a little bit more on how to get undo a ready fitting dress, which is a bad fitting dress, and then where to pinpoint the mistakes and how to get those mistakes to get a better fit. So it doesn't matter what figure you are. If you are sort of a difficult area figure, and then you know, we need to get that to look, you know, we've been given bodies where we've got to make do with the best of what we've got. So I know slim people, they can carry anything off. The problem is where you've got a heavier person with, you know, maybe a pear-shaped person, and they feel uncomfortable anyway because of the size, because of the body shape, and then they've got lousy clothes as well, lousy fitting clothes, and that just makes the matter worse. So, you know, when you're wearing an average decent size fitting clothes, then you feel a lot more you know, your morale is sort of like boosted a little bit. Whereas if you're wearing lousy fitting clothes, then what they tend to do to you is they make you even more self-conscious, and you know, you lose your sort of like boost. So feel comfortable in what you wear comfortable clothes like this. I mean, this is a lovely soft type of fabric, which I could actually just live in these clothes, but when they're lousy fitting, then it just makes you feel uncomfortable. So this is just an old dress, and I didn't actually need to make these modifications, but now, even though it's an old dress, you most likely, when I make the videos, you will see me wearing this more and more, because I'm one of those people, right? I have tons of clothes, and I have a habit of wearing, if I'm happy with something, if the fitting is good and if the fabric is comfortable, then I will wear that again and again and again. So this was outfit number 1 that we modified. I'm gonna quickly swap over and wear the second of the outfits and show you the problems we had with that, and then the kind of fitting that we've managed to get from that. Assalamu alaikum. Now this was the second of my ill-fitting outfits. I tell you, my mum absolutely hated this dress. Every time I wore it, and I wore it for comfort reasons, she would say to me, just get rid of it, I don't like it. And it made me look like a bag. I truly looked like a sack in this, because it was such a lousy fitting. The jah were so high up, and it made my hips look massive, it made my stomach look massive. On the chest area, I felt like I was squashed, and it was overall a really lousy fitting kameez. And it was a simple fixing of opening it up, taking the fitting down a little, opening it up from the chest area, and then closing it down and slightly shaping it on the, you know, hip area. Now it's the same dress, and I feel so much you know, relaxed in this, and you know, so much I don't know, I was so conscious every time I used to wear this. I used to wear it often for sleeping, but out of force of habit, sometimes I'd go down when I was wearing this, because it was a fully covering outfit, and you know, like with the full sleeves and so on, and it was linen, it was very comfortable fabric. So I really didn't, I mean, there was no need to open it up and fix it and do all this, but I wanted to prove a point that just because something fits you lousy, you know, take advantage of the fact that a lot of the work is done on it. I mean, like with this dress, the hemline and everything was already done, the salwar was made, the sleeves are already made, the neckline was made. So just taking that advantage of reshaping it, slightly opening it up and reshaping it, has taken away the problem, and has made me feel a lot more relaxed now in wearing the same garment. So you can take advantage of these tips, and then you can take advantage of these tips and then use them. Hello baby Annabella and Inaya. Are you well? Okay, so you know, by all means follow these simple method of readapting and making something really good out of something which you may have felt like dismissing and just chucking away. So it's very easy to do. It will perhaps take you a day, and you know, there were 2 outfits that I managed to sort out. It took me a couple of hours to unpick, but then at the same time I've tried to explain as best as I could. So anyway, I hope you do follow these simple techniques, and perhaps make a template following these simple instructions. Make a template for yourself and then invest a little bit of time. I mean, it's such a shame, you know, when we pay to get our fabrics ruined, and you know, just stay aside for a minute, okay? It's such a shame that we pay someone else to take our fabric and ruin it for us, because if you get someone else to sew, and then if they did the kind of job that was done on these garments, then it's such a shame. Take your time, make less, and invest your own time and effort into making the suits.